Hello everybody, Kim Snyder here with the API guys. I want to give you a little demo how-to on our time zone finder plugin. What this plugin does is it takes a location from either a postal code, a full address, a city, state, city-state zip, city-state country, sort of any combination of those, and finds the time zone for that location and writes it to a field that you specify within Infusionsoft so that you can use it to perform actions, whether it's to send an email or end a holiday promo or what have you, at a very specific time for someone in their time zone. In other words, we could schedule an email to go out at 8 a.m. and if I'm in the Central Time Zone, I get it at 8 a.m. in my time, but if you're in Europe, you get it at 8 a.m. your time, that sort of thing. So that's the purpose of the time zone finder. It doesn't actually do the scheduling or the sending, it just is a way of getting people's time zones. And I'm going to show you two things. First thing I'm going to show you is just how to run this as part of your regular opt-in processes. And then the second thing I'm going to do is show you how to run this on contacts that already exist. So I'm in my campaign, Kim Demo. So if we look at this, I've got a form here. And this is just a demo form. So what we have here is the postal code for the billing address. One of the things I have found myself personally is that when I just ask for email address and zip code, I get very little change in conversion rate. People are not reticent, especially if I make it optional, to give me that zip code because they know really there's nothing I can do with it, especially if I put a little note there about why I want it. But I really don't find that to be the conversion killer that a lot of people worry that it will be. So I've got my form. So the way that our plugin works is like all of them. It runs from an HTTP post. For purposes of this demo, I am assuming a couple things. I'm assuming that you have the plugin, you have it installed on your server. If you don't know how to do that, there are directions. Go to our Learning Center about how to configure and install our plugins. Number two, I'm assuming you know what an HTTP post is and know how to set those up. Again, if you want a little backgrounder on posts, then we have a video on that as well in the Learning Center. But I've drugged that out from process. It's the very last one at the bottom and I set it up. So here is how you configure the plugin. So the URL, by the way, anytime that this says index.php, this is unnecessary. You could just do it like this. If so, you have to make sure that that trailing slash is there. I put it in just for good measure, but it's not necessary. This is, of course, running off of my server, the APIguys.com. You would have yours here instead, the domain instead. And then this should be your path if you had this installed by our automated installation process. It should look like this. If you put it in there manually by yourself, then it may or may not be this exact same path. So here is your URL. Contact ID, this is the default that is added when you create a post. You always want to leave that for our plugins. You always want to leave that alone. Now, location, I'm just going to use contact.postalcode, which I could just pull out of the merge field. This could in fact be other things. If I had other information, I could do something like this. So billing address is the default address that you see on the first page. So I could, for example, do something like city, comma, and then state, space, postal code. That's also a valid location. I could do something like this. I could say city, state, country. That's a valid location. I could say state. Well, that's actually state and country isn't going to give it to you, but I could do, I think I can do city, country. I'd have to test that one. But anyway, you get the idea. Some combination, some strings. Oh, by the way, I could also do this. I could do something like this. Because, by the way, some of our postal codes also match postal codes in other countries. You can look in the documentation about the countries that are covered by our plugin We don't do all countries, but we do most of them. So anyway, so meaning you could even do this, right? You could do 29137. It will take text as a string, but for our purposes, okay, we're going to do this. So it's going to pull whatever we put in there in the postal code. Now this identifier, you'll see if you go to the quick start guide in our learning center. In fact, let me pull it over here for you. You'll see that this identifier may contain either one, yes, or true to return and save the time zone ID instead of the abbreviation. So in other words, it will return something like this instead of EST. And the reason that is, you probably want that if you're going to be using any of our time zone specific functionality in our advanced merge field notation, like our universal delay timer or any date. Those will work on that PHP standard time zone abbreviation. So that is a good way to collect it instead of the abbreviation. But if you want the abbreviation, you would simply just remove this. If this is not here, then it will give you the EST, PST, PDT, whatever. If you're going to be working with any of our plugins with this time zone, then I'd recommend saying identifier equals 1. And then the save to is what field do you want to put it in? I'm putting it in a custom field called time zone. Remember, for our plugins, when the save to field, you have to leave the tildes off. These are called tildes. They're the squiggly little line found in the top left of your keyboard. You can have tildes for the fields that you're pulling information from, but the save to field must have no tildes. Okay, so that's how you would set this up. And we are going to go ahead and run this. I actually really don't think I need to publish that because we just changed it back to what it was already, but I'll go ahead and I'll publish this. So what we need to do to fire this in this case is we need to fill out this form. I am going to say major dog. I always use my dogs for tests, and I believe his email is major@kimsnyder.com, and we'll just make his billing zip code 75039, which is in the central time zone, and hit submit. Perfect. So we've gone to the thank you page. Now, one of the things that you should know, I did not know this until just the other day. So apparently in October of 2014, Infusionsoft made a change where they, I guess, batch all HTTP posts together on a server, which means, in my experience, actually, they are running much slower at times than what they did previously. In fact, I have seen some take a couple minutes to actually post. So just because it doesn't happen instantaneously does not mean it didn't work. And believe it or not, they have said that it could take more than minutes. So if you're wondering if this is working because you're running it and it's not there, then let us know. We can test it and see, is it running and just not done yet, or do you have actually a problem with your post? So you can see here's Major Dog, and right now he had a zip code of 29137 and no time zone. We'll see if this is run yet. I'm going to refresh. Perfect. And you can see that it changed his postal code to 75039 from the form, and then found that that was in the central time zone, which is America/Chicago. So that worked exactly as expected. Had I just really quickly changed this to, change this identifier here like this to, we'll take this out and go back to the sequence and publish this just so you can see what it looks like, see what the difference is. Publish, and then if I go over here and I run this on Major Dog again, so I'll go back and I will submit, and we'll give this just a quick second. Something else I just want to point out to you, by the way, I hit refresh and it still says America Chicago. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this campaign button real quick because I do want to show you something. So one of the things you'll notice is, so this is the first time I ran it. This is November 28th, 11:03. And then here you can see that the newsletter went, but it's not scheduled to run that post until 11:19, and it's only 11:05. And you should always check that too when a post is not working the way you expected it to. Like, you think, oh, it's not run. For some reason, and it seems to me a little bit arbitrary, although I'm sure there's a rule there somewhere, but when the same post has been submitted multiple times, then sometimes they put like almost a throttle on it and they schedule it 15 minutes out. So if you've used the same contact over and over and over again, a lot of times you'll see that this is sitting there and been automatically scheduled for 15 minutes out. So you can wait for the 15 minutes, or you can just hit post to get it to post and not wait that 15 minutes. So I ran it manually, and now you can see the difference. Instead of America/Chicago, it's got CST. So that is our demo for how to set up and run your time zone finder. I'm going to create a separate demo to show you how to go back and get this information for all of the contacts you have who have an existing postal code or other location information. So look for that in our Learning Center, as well as a pro tip about how you can collect this information from a form without asking for it, using their IP address, and then feed the information that you get from that into the time zone finder and get to a time zone without the person filling out the form even being asked for their information. So that's a pro tip that we'll create and put in the Learning Center in the idea books as well. So take a look for that. So I hope you found this helpful. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. My contact information is up here on the screen. This is my favorite topic, and I love solving Infusionsoft puzzles, turning can't into can. So let me know if we can help in any way. Thanks.